fourth grade in Lloyd Harbor Elementary School, there was a girl, Miss Harrison's class, there was a girl that just showed up that year. I had never seen her before in the elementary school. She was never in my class before. Her name was Jacqueline Lieberg. Now, what's interesting is, as a fourth grade girl in North America, in New York State to be exact, you're not developed in the chest area. However, Jacqueline, for some reason, had fully developed into what looks like, now that I'm older, looks like she must have been somewhere in her late teens, early 20s. But she sat in the fourth grade class and she pretended to be a fourth grader. And her and I befriended one another. She had a dad who did something important, I just don't know what. And after school, she would invite me. We would walk from the school, or we would take the bus home to her house and then walk to the deli and then back up. In junior high, we would sometimes do that as well. My dad's office at the time was right next door at 3 Harbor Road, right over by the Billy Joel Park, in the harbor area of Cold Spring Harbor, over by like where Eagle Dock was, where there was like really no dock, just called that. And we would listen to Paula Abdul and just hang out in the basement, which had a red floor. And so that, but I remember being in her house. It was mid 80s, and I remember her speaking. She knew some, like now I can remember it, because also I had gotten papers inside fourth grade that arrived by a manila envelope. And then there were special assignments that we had to do about numbers, 3, and what's your favorite number, 3, 4, that kind of thing, 3, 4, 7. So that is interesting. She sat with me, and then there were some pieces like I couldn't remember and I didn't know, but everything with her was about Nikki. And I can't always access that memory in New York. It is one of those things that I have trouble with, biologically and physiologically, in this adhesion of sorts, as X-Men showed. And Jacqueline also, now I'm remembering, there was one day I went over there and we were standing, we weren't sitting at the table, we were standing up, and she was speaking to me about, she was using words that I knew were English, but I didn't know where or what she was speaking of, so I was trying to follow along and not be rude, but she had this, worldly sense about her that I was not exposed to. I guess it would be geography would be the appropriate term, of how she knew Nikki, and that she had mentioned me when she was with Nikki, and that he was looking forward to meeting me. And again, even in that conversation, it's almost like I'm looking at her and I'm trying to follow along, but it's almost like an electric volt hitting me sideways, towards my temple, disrupting my thought pattern. It was one of the first times, Well, actually, no. I mean, it's happened a lot in New York State since I've been here that they've abused their powers, whoever they are, not necessarily Jackie, but whatever powers that be that are powering something else and fighting over something else. But they've certainly been attempting to hurt, for sure, for a long time. And then I remember, like today I'm able to remember, it's March 10th, 2022, when we went to Canada. I really don't remember much about the flight or how we got to wherever we wound up. But I remember I looked at Aunt, and Aunt's like, wow, that was a crazy trip. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, the man makes no sense to me whatsoever. And then we just walked into wherever the circular thing was. And then I met a man as I was walking following Anthony. I mean, I was looking for like a hotel desk. Again, have no idea what that was. I'm like, this isn't laid out like anything I've ever been in before. So I was just following it, but then somebody stopped me. I briefly spoke to him for a minute, and then he said to go follow back with Anthony. I think he said that he had spoke to Anthony and he knew what was going on. I'm not quite sure. But again, that's the confusing nature of living this way. And in New York today, the breathing apparatus and the oxygen saturation, it is so painful just to walk from one room into the next. And I saw on the televised news the other night, they were saying they put on a visual reference. They said the military was suing for burn pits and for some breathing problems that they discovered or are encountering. But the visualization was regular people in fatigues, and it looked like it was a far and away place. But I also, on the local news, saw that one day they put on, there's some sanitation facility. They're doing burn pits here, somewhere within the 5 boroughs. I don't know where. But that amount of toxins released into the local air is really, really dangerous. And I don't know how or why bullets don't work fast enough to shut down these illegal operators. How they get away with melting and burning all sorts of garbage and junk and trash, filling the air with really dangerous toxins, and so close to the city where, like, we're in a bubble. It fills up and then it affects the health. And there's no escaping it at this point. I don't have a route out. I really hate New York. I really hate being here. I really hate feeling this way. I really hate that my biology and physiology is so affected by powers outside my grasp, where I can't escape them at the moment. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza, it's Earth solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.